We're not gonna We're not gonna run out of time. No, like
like 45 minutes left.
yeah, but no, I had like hours.
That's what I'm saying.
I'm gonna record so much things.
It's all gonna be about
What?
it's all gonna be satire.
What's that?
It's like comedy and social accuracy.
English? Hi.
You have to like do SNL and like all that kind of stuff, but the Babylon Bee is
Whereas us in Mr. M's class just read and do writing prompts. It's so good.
you don't watch SNL because of the video.
See, now I'm not gonna die. You will.
No, stop. I almost died. I could feel my life leaving my body. And I was saved by the bell.
No, you're saved by the ants in your backpack.
What?
Yeah.
For the marking period, right? That doesn't really matter.
So stupid. Oh, Ellie, is that a tree?
Natalie, why you gotta look at me funny like that? It's just
We're
soup.
eating noodles.
It's soup.
Thing.
Yeah, don't hate
At
on it.
lunch with
It-
like 8 other people.
It's soup.
It looks okay.
That's a
So fucking
bad
stupid.
thing.
It was like 8 people were like,
I made soup in Creative Foods. She gave me the thing, and I ate it.
In Salem, when you walk by like the whatever, it smells like specifically Target Pizza Hut pizza.
I missed that.
Can't say I know what that smells
Like
like.
specifically, I smelled it and I was like, guys, is
You
that
know,
No, it's gone now. It's
No,
probably
Can't
there's
say I
actually
know
a
that
couple,
Pizza
there's a
Pizza
couple
Hut.
that still have Pizza Hut.
I don't remember it. This was me and Cole.
The thing is, like, people wouldn't pick me up, and then it would drive, and I'd be sitting there. Yeah,
So you just sit in the car.
come on.
What do you think is gonna happen? It's fine, you'll be fine.
Also, well, I told us to have it, because yesterday he was like, oh, you're so high with the ball. I was like, okay. And then I thought, wasn't gonna stop.
But there's just more people that go here every day.
I'm here every day.
No, I know you.
Like I
You
swear.
people we know, and it's fine.
Because, well, I swear, if I was like walking on the
Give me a letter,
I just
John.
saw like Kate's face like this.
Give me a
Well,
letter.
that window's going
I do care.
I think I must out the window.
Give me a letter.
Almost fall out of the seat.
No, I'm like taking a video. You take over that corner.
Oh yeah, I almost fell out of the window. Yeah.
No, I didn't. Imagine I thought the fuck you did.
Honestly, you could probably survive that.
Then you're just maybe.
If you landed right.
Can I like sue the school for that? Or is like,
No. No. They will not.
Yo, what was
you
the
will-
Skittles?
Literally nobody. They probably got good lawyers though. I can't imagine that piece up wouldn't have good lawyers.
Bro, yesterday, you know Water Wars? Yesterday, we went to someone's house and I was like chasing after this girl and she thought I was someone on
You
the
like a
team.
decoy or something?
Yeah, and she thought that I was someone on the team, so she shot me.
my brother waited 2 hours outside someone's house and waiting home.
I'm the decoy.
I know, I've gotten more people than your brother has.
Dude,
I
Chuck, you
know,
look
yeah.
exactly like your brother. Why do you think I'm his decoy? That's actually so
I
perfect.
know. It's like, I was sitting outside this girl's house and then my friends were there and this girl, she came home and she's like, my mom said that she's like, no. And she was talking so loud. And I was like, oh. So then I decided to run around the corner and back was facing me. So then I like chased after her, like stomped on my feet. She started screaming and she shot me with a gun.
No, Ben literally did this 6 hours.
And nothing.
We saw two kids roll up to our house, but they were across the street, and I saw them running. So it's like, I'm like, I literally said this. I'm like, I see people over there, like loud enough so they easily be able to hear me. And I'm like, hi. And they probably walk over. Shitty.
Waterworks seems so easy.
Look. No, it's actually so hard. These girls like.
Oh, they hate
Shut
you.
the class, yeah.
These girls were like one of the house that were flashed.
Oh, is this an off account?
Hey,
In like the middle
oh,
of the night.
oh, you just
It's like, I thought like,
That's why
You
I
gotta
asked
do
you.
something.
like
No,
who's
you sign a
like go
contract
like
or
my sister gonna go outside? No. Like
How's your sister's thing going?
Like my brother's team.
Wedding?
My brother's team is so garbage. My brother's team is trash. Like you literally Jake Mason and all that. So bad. My brother's team is Jake Mason, Jack Wick.
Yo, what's good? So, Vladimir?
You know Ella.
Don't rage quit. Play tag.
She was like.
You're it first. It's called Madeline Skunk. Bro, who dropped 3 pennies? 3 unblocked.
Are they heads up? Don't pick them up if they're tails.
Unblocked game 76. I ain't care about no battle.
Dude, Marky took a picture of me when I was setting up.
No, it's fine.
Oh, you're right.
It's fine. You killed me.
Throw him out the window, bro. Dude, Marty tried to call me this morning, and I don't have her phone. So I thought it was just some random person. The Lulu cancel? Yes.
Really? Shit, can you put on the full screen?
So bad.
Damn it.
Hang on, where's the logo?
I was gonna go full screen
There.
share.
Now what you do is you find the keys. How do you feel on my shirt?
Hi, Paris.
Oh, wait,
I
no,
can't
wait,
believe you
put
left
it-
me. You went out.
It was an accident. I forgot that you had to go back.
What?
What do you want? I just wanted to say hi. You really fucking said that without coming in. That's what you were looking at. However, you heard me.
Alright, I'm clearing the room.
Oh, what's good?
I told you.
Where is Tiffany? I need her.
Natalie.
No, I can't online.
What?
Well, let me. You try to go online.
Who said
Oh my god, I was just about to text you and ask where you were.
Stop them.
Where are you? Why took you so long? Oh my god, my string on those pants you broke, so I can't wear them like any comfort. Can you get your running back here, Stan?
You are that middle school kid.
Sorry, I just saw you were wearing a Cubs kind of shirt, and I was like, oh my god, Valentine here's my shirt. You never wear Cubs shirt.
You know it's good
So I
to
was like, maybe you
Well,
will
now
now.
I'm confused because Friday.
You guys are the middle school kids.
Well, my teacher.
You would be the guys who like would find the games that were played, but find them.
Oh, I got it.
No, we didn't know over the weekend.
I
We
found a
should
different
come back
one.
Monday, like we did
I just
both.
looked up driving car
That's
games
kind of
back
fun.
in
True.
2000.
I don't know. Let's see.
You guys would be the ones to
What do you
find
do
it on
this
black
weekend?
sites.
Me and Alexa are free Saturday or Sunday.
Can you shut up,
Let
Chuck?
me
I'm just
know, because I don't think I
talking
have
smack.
anything going on. It's just crazy.
I'm not. It's just really good.
But let me know as soon as I'm coming. Let me do.
Me?
No, this
Oh, I've done everything.
Alright, pick one, Don. Pick one. Which one do you want to play? Are you scared? You just reload it?
No, just play different.
We read.
I'm so sad this summer. There's so much work.
Safe. Just
Oh my god, Valley.
Bro, I don't want to do this right now.
I was never.
Nobody asked me what my address is.
But it's also.
I'm getting over this. Go multi-player. Oh my god, are you okay?
What is that?
I brought my book.
No way,
actually.
actually?
I did. I got it. I brought my book. Hold on.
Why do you
I think I did. I don't know. I did. Can I get my 2 points? Or my
Okay.
3 points? I wasn't here yesterday.
Okay.
Oh, hey.
I brought my book. I had it yesterday, and I was so prepared to show you, and then I didn't. Because it wasn't
Do
there.
you know how like he'd walk you through?
What?
Did you ever go? Where's the book?
It's right on my desk.
Oh, okay.
Dude, I was on like the second page.
I was here yesterday.
First box.
What is this? What is this?
Oh,
Wait, did we do that?
Can I? Didn't he be mad if
That's
I?
not fair. Wait. No, I was after it.
Now, you like the online
I would be talking about
There was soup in there.
no, wrong.
How did
Wrong.
Jesus
Nope. Nope. Wrong. Mark, nope.
Oh, it's yogurt. It's a yogurt container. But there's
Actually,
two Charlies.
There should be a standard size because ketchup on steak is morally wrong. You shouldn't be doing
I was confused.
If you put ketchup on your steak, that's just messed up. And that's it's, but it's not. It's not good. If you need ketchup on your steak, for it to taste good, then the person who cooked that steak.
I don't need it to taste good. It just tastes good.
No, it doesn't.
You put ketchup on your steak?
That's like messed up, bro.
So, why is there soup in here?
I like that because I opened it. I need to open it.
And who told you you could open it?
My soup? You never said I couldn't.
But I never said you could. Don't open up my soup.
Well, why?
Well, now you don't get to know.
Seats, please, Ava.
You're gonna be eating yourself, wondering why I have soup.
At least I
And you're
know
not gonna.
Charles and Alexa, careful. If you're working too much, you're gonna wind up being.
Well, if you just asked, I would have told
Above
you.
my head, you would not have.
Guys,
Yes, sir.
You would have been
guys,
like,
Yes, sir.
guys,
maybe I
girls,
wouldn't have.
knock it off.
Like you are now.
Knock it off, Alexa.
Yeah.
Don't even respond to it yet. Don't respond to it yet. Don't even point at him. Just let it fade away. Like.
He should not be allowed
Let
to
it
say
fade.
that. He's not allowed to have
I get the last word.
No, no, no. You don't get the last word.
Sorry.
You're just losing points,
You get
man.
the last
You're
word.
losing points, buddy. What's my hobby?
Taking points off.
Yeah, I'll take points.
Telling me to shut
Is
up.
it taking points
Telling
away
Alexa to
from
be
No,
quiet.
I mean, as much as I like telling adolescent boys to shut up, it's not exactly my hobby.
Telling them to be quiet.
Fine.
My hobby's more.
Read their books.
Yeah. Remember, I have a son who's adolescent now. Oh my God.
How old is he?
14,
Oh.
and he's fully sarcastic already.
Nice.
Like, I thought that was supposed to evolve to like they're like 18.
How old is he?
He's full on sarcastic at 14. What are we gonna do for him?
Fine.
So you should get your books out. Oh wait, I also have to address something. So half of you weren't here yesterday. I'm highly disappointed in you.
It was me. I really wanted to be here.
Honestly,
Yeah,
I'd
you
rather
totally
be
should have
anywhere.
skipped filling out the SAT thing and just come here.
I
No,
really-
actually you shouldn't have. Never mind.
I tried. They strapped me down.
But we did do something in class yesterday that you missed, so you want to make that up. I made it due tonight at midnight, but if you need more time, let me know. It's the writing prompt to do page 5 of this thing.
Well, we did all the pages
We
already.
skipped page 5, remember?
Why?
So we could do it yesterday.
But I wasn't here. How am I supposed to know what to do?
I know. Well, see what you can do with it. If you need any help, let me know. I talked a
Please
bit about
tell me
noun
to
clauses
save
and some
what
other
I already
class types.
wrote.
That's something I will come back to, so
Yes.
you're not exactly missing it all. I'll cover that ground again, but, yeah, it's unfortunate that testing becomes so important that they pull you out of class to fill out an answer sheet, like a free bubble. Yeah, just put your address and your name there.
I
Like,
don't like those small.
how is that more important than learning? I don't know, but that's our system. And it's not the fault of the people who are administering all that.
Exactly.
It's the whole system is messed up. Who went to the bathroom? Who was it?
Yes.
Did you make it?
Yes. Mr. Eggers,
Yes, I have messed up. Oh, Jason's not here. There we go.
can I ask a question about number 2?
Yes?
So, this, let me get this out, because,
You want me to pull it up on the screen?
yes, sir. So, for number 2, B, I'm having trouble understanding like what that is or how I could imitate that.
I'm good. All right. This one that's after standing still for a moment?
Yes. So
Okay.
the in blue, yeah.
Yeah, so I did the part in blue, but how did I do that? Why did I do that? And what did we have to choose from?
As if to rearrange all the china and flowers for the bridal party. Like I don't get how to imitate that.
Yeah, all right, so we start with, after standing still for a moment, so that's got this preposition at the beginning of it, except, wait a minute. Is that a preposition or is that a subordinating conjunction? Well, we need to always look for verbs and stuff. Standing is part of a verb, it can be, right, that present participle, but it always needs that helping verb in front of it, and it would need a subject too to be a clause, so. This is a phrase, prepositional phrase we'll call it, after, and then it has a participial phrase, standing still, and then it has a prepositional phrase. So we look and see, what do they have here? In the choices, right? Well, they kind of give it to us spelled out like this. They got while, which will be parallel to after, so we'll start with while. And then we want an ing form of a verb, and they already gave us scrutinizing, right? So that's directly parallel. And then still and lovingly, yeah, they're pretty parallel. And then there's a prepositional phrase from the hallway, so we'll start with that. While scrutinizing.
But it's
lovingly from
the
hallway.
next part.
This part?
Yeah, as if to rearrange all the china and flour.
Yeah. Well, let's look at what's going on verb-wise and conjunction-wise too. As if is a subordinating conjunction. As if. Have you seen Clueless? Clueless, anyone? All right. But that's actually a subordinating conjunction that can make dependent clauses. I don't know if it's functioning like that here. We have to look and find the verbs. Ooh, actually, it's not really. No, this is a dependent clause over here. Well, maybe it is working that way. The sick woman. There's no verb here, is there? To observe. So this is a verb, but it's in the infinitive form. So we want to see that in the combination part too. And they already give us as if in choice B, so we'll start with that, right? The exact same, instead of being a little different. As if, and then we go with to rearrange because that's parallel to observe. So that's also what we call the infinitive form of a verb, where when you put the preposition to in front of it. And then, let's see, I don't know, maybe it's not that parallel. Let's see, the sick woman from a little distance. So what is being observed? So we want what's being arranged here. I think we just keep going with what they gave us. All the china and flowers for the bridal party. So these are two nouns, really. And then we have a prepositional phrase for the bridal party.
Oh, okay.
And that's parallel to the sick woman. So china and flowers is two things, and sick woman is one. So that's a difference. It's a little tricky, so you can't make it exactly parallel there. And then he crossed to the bed. She walked toward the dining table. Those are pretty parallel. You got a subject and a verb, and then a prepositional phrase to the bed. Subject, verb, prepositional phrase toward the dining table. And then it ends with actually a dependent clause. Okay. Oh no, this is the relative or adjective clause. Fine. And they both start with which too, so they actually gave it to us this time too, right? Which was covered by something, but we want to specify what that was. So let's see. Which was illuminated, which was covered. That's, parallel. We have was illuminated and was covered. Those are both verbs. And which is kind of in the subject role there, which we talked about yesterday a little bit too, that the relative pronoun can be in the subject role for it. And then we got a prepositional phrase, by a single bedside lamp, so we want by a pure white glazed tablecloth. I think that's pretty parallel. Again, it gets a little tricky, like why there's two things mentioned in the options, and then the one thing only has a singular noun, and you kind of have to just make it approximately fit. Good question, though. I like it. Any other questions about this?
Can you just keep it up for a little bit longer?
Well, I thought you took a picture of it yesterday. What the crap? You have a faulty camera?
I wasn't here yesterday.
Oh, that's too much for me to bear.
Wait, go back.
All right, here are the first two. Take your picture. Take your picture.
Wait, that's only the first two.
Yeah, that's 1 and 2. I should have numbered them. I don't know why I didn't.
Yeah.
And here are 3 and 4.
Alright, just keep that up for like a solid 5 minutes.
5 minutes? How would it take that long to take a picture with your phone? I mean,
Oh, nah, yeah, I don't know. I'm just really bad at taking pictures. I'm really old.
what are you trying to say?
What? Oh, nothing.
That's a little awkward there. You stepped into it, pal.
I didn't say anything.
Don't talk back to me now. You're gonna take
It
a
wasn't
tone?
meant to be in an offensive
Ooh,
fashion.
if I could see your eyebrows, I bet you were raising them at me. Okay, let's get to the story. You should get your book out. Oh, I'm Paris, look what I have. It's your book. Someone gave it to me. I forget who, maybe. Who gave this?
Got up just for a little.
Samaria, maybe. Is that who it was?
Yeah.
Okay, we have to rehash a little bit from the previous section there. What's going on in chapter 2? And it's awful. I don't enjoy talking about sexual assault, but that's what's brought up in the story. And we'd have to at least remark upon it a little bit and think about it. Just how it's tied into slavery. That Nanny is enslaved by this people. This is right around the time of the Civil War. We're going to be starting on page 21 when we get there. This is right around the time of the Civil War, and Nanny is enslaved, and the slave owner, or the plantation owner, the slave driver, whatever you want to call him, he has sexual relations with her multiple times. So it's something that happens to her a bunch. We don't get details about all of that. It kind of glosses over that. These are a couple of weird things that are mentioned. I want to make a point that in that scenario, it doesn't really matter how it plays out. It's rape. Because she doesn't have the freedom to say no. I mean, it's horrible enough, the slavery and all that, but the assault there, she has no freedom to say no or get out of that. And she's just victimized there. And multiple times. And then the horrible awkwardness of that conversation with the wife, once the man is gone in that scene, where the wife comes at her and is very jealous and angry and mad that her baby maybe has some white features or something, and so she gonna beat the crap out of Nanny and have her whipped and beaten, and she tries to take the baby away from her and sell it when it gets to 1 month old. Ooh, how do we get to such a twisted world where these kind of scenarios could happen? I know it's a fictional novel, but I imagine things like this did happen. We certainly know, there's even a talk of Thomas Jefferson having had an affair. I think I saw a video of a descendant of his, from him and a woman who was enslaved by him. What's her name? Anne something, I think. Then that whole awkward scenario is weird, and how could a person do that? Like, she's enslaved, she's been raped by her husband. How can you blame her? And yet that's what we have in that scenario. And I guess people can be that petty and awful sometimes and twisted. But then Nanny's gonna save this daughter, this child that's born out of that horrible event, Leafy, and this is Janie's mom, and she's going to try to get her on the right path so that she can be the hope in the future and that this won't happen to her. So she escapes. She runs away with their baby, and they're on the run. And while they're on the run, the Civil War comes to an end, and slavery is abolished. So it works out that she now is free, and she doesn't have to worry about them chasing her anymore. And it seems like she's going to turn things around. She gets, she gets connected with a family that's nice, and they get to work there and live there. And but then her daughter gets raped at school or after school or something by her teacher. And now we get this horrible thing going through generations now, from grandmother to child to and we're worried about the grandchild. This is what the grandmother is all worried about now. Is the same thing going to happen to her? And is she going to be taken advantage of? And she desperately doesn't want that to happen, and that's why she's so adamant about getting her daughter married to somebody so that she'll be safe and taken care of. Well, we still have to ask the question though, is that right?
No.
Are you better off married and safe, or not married and potentially falling into trouble and maybe something horrific. Well, we have more to contemplate. Let's read more, shall we? And then we'll come back to this. Actually, even after this first paragraph, I might pause it. Are we all on the right page, Charles?
And what page would that be?
21.
Thank you.
21.
21. Oh, right.
There are years that ask questions and years that answer. Jenny had no chance to know things, so she had to ask. Did marriage end the cosmic loneliness of the unmated? Did marriage compel love, like the sun the day?
What do you think? Should I make it a writing prompt? Okay. Does marriage make people fall in love? Like, if you just get forced into a marriage, is love just going to come naturally?
No.
Not necessarily. I mean, it could, and I don't know. What are the odds? Like, that your parents say they pick someone for you to marry, and then you just marry them. What are the odds that you'll fall in love with them? And it'll be like your soulmate or whatever. I need a statistic. Someone give me a percentage, or we're doing it right.
I don't know how many people are forced into marriage and are through that forced to find love, I guess. I don't know if that's a very good statistic to have.
I don't even know either. That's why I was asking you as a comment.
I think
I speculate
If
though.
you're
Like, what
better,
would you say?
if you're closer in age, and I think there's more of a chance than if you're farther in age.
why do you say that?
Because you would have more in common.
Age
Age definitely matters. Like, as far as what you talk about and what you do
Well, like
together
a
and how you see the
13-year-old
world.
marrying
No,
a
you-
50-year-old man over like a
Nah,
20-year-old
Miss
is
Aggie.
way different.
Yeah.
I just looked it up.
What?
It said that while regular marriages have a 40% chance of divorce, arranged marriages have a 4% chance of divorce.
Yeah. Well, so.
You're forced in,
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say. I think it's probably forced
Then
into
you
it.
can't really.
Well, and
You're forced
also
into it,
you're
the other
forced
thing
into
that-
it by your parents, and you.
Well,
probably
I think there's
don't
something culturally going on there too. Some of
No,
the
I said in the
cultures.
U.S.
Some of the cultures.
In
well,
the U.S.
Different cultures in the U.S.
Yes.
Well, I know that.
They bring their culture.
That-
Cultures come here from other places.
But it's online. Don't blame me.
Well,
Is the
I've heard that
website
statistic
credible?
before, not to that degree. I didn't realize 4% was maybe that's something different. But still, in some of these cultures where they have arranged marriages, it's very taboo to get a divorce too. It's like you're not just dishonoring yourself or whatever, but you're messing over the whole family and you're letting all your parents and your relatives down. And there may be even a stigma, or you get shunned or ostracized or kicked out of the family. Or
I think Kevin.
I've even
Hart
heard of people
described-
getting killed for trying to get out of marriages. And
I think
Why
Kevin
doesn't it
Hart
go
Okay.
described divorces as a very he described divorce as well. He said, if you get a divorce, there's not really anything wrong with that. That's you realizing or them realizing you made a mistake and like you are taking responsibility for that. Once you get into your like third, fourth, fifth, you're not really looking for love. You're just looking for a death buddy. You're just looking for someone to die with. That's what he was saying. And you gotta think like he's kind of right, because you're just chasing someone, or something. You're just chasing something to die. You know, you just want someone to die with.
Something.
I'm sorry, not
A
something.
thing?
Like a feeling, I guess.
Okay.
I'm getting stereo here, one at a time. Ellie.
If the person you're with isn't like growing at like the same speed you is and has like the same ideals or goals as you and is not progressing like in life the way you are, I wouldn't want to like me personally. I wouldn't want to be with that person because like our ideals and like things that we want to accomplish wouldn't match. So it's like.
This is why the Twilight doesn't work, right?
I would be growing too much, and the person that I'm with might just be growing at a different speed than I am, and they're just not like.
Yeah.
I don't think you need to have the same like goals and stuff.
Well, yeah, but like the whole-
Similar.
Oh, by the way, you know, like, here's another size.
Accepting.
Here's another statistic, like what Sai came up with. That I've read before that money is the #1 factor in divorce. It's not about love. It's disagreements about money and what to do with money, and how to spend it.
Well, some people get married to rich guys and then divorce them so they can get a cut of their money. Like,
that happens sometimes, not a lot.
Didn't that happen?
There aren't that many rich guys out there.
That's why
Bezos
people
or
sign stuff where if you get a divorce, the other person doesn't get any of their money. That's happened to me.
depends how good your lawyer
Yeah,
is.
so,
That's what happened to me.
alright, let's get back to the story here and see. Maybe it happens sometimes. I couldn't put a statistic. I was asking you to do it. Like, could we say like 1 out of 10 times someone in a forced marriage would like find love that way, or is it 50% of the time? Or and I've had students who've had parents who had arranged marriages, and they do love each other. So maybe it's way higher than I would think. But also, we should note in those kind of arranged marriages, it's not just like some random thing pulled out of a hat. There's like a whole prelude to it where there's introduction.
And it's
meeting
also
the
like
person,
you're not
and-
like arranged at birth. You get arranged to a good family, and
Yeah, and
it'll
usually
probably
you know the person.
like help out your family, you know.
Yeah. So
But
it's
I
a little
don't know. I
different
don't
than
know
what Janie's
enough
going through
about the
here.
subject.
All right, back into the story. Paragraph 2.
In the few days to live before she went to Logan Killick's and his often mentioned 60 acres, Janie asked inside of herself and out. She was back and forth to the pear tree, continuously wondering and thinking. Finally, out of Nanny's talk and her own conjectures, she made a sort of comfort for herself. Yes, she would love Logan after they were married. She could see no way for it to come about, but Nanny and the old folks had said it, so it must be so. Husbands and wives always loved each other, and that was what marriage meant. It was just so. Janie felt glad of the thought, for then it wouldn't seem so destructive and moldy. She wouldn't be lonely anymore. Janie and Logan got married in Nanny's parlor of a Saturday evening with 3 cakes and big platters of fried rabbit and chicken, everything to eat in abundance. Nanny and Mrs. Washburn had seen to that, but nobody put anything on the seat of Logan's wagon to make it ride glorious on the way to his house. It was a lonesome place, like a stump in the middle of the woods where nobody had ever been. The house was absent of flavor, too. But anyhow, Janie went on inside to wait for love to begin. The new moon had been up and down 3 times before she got worried in mind. Then she went to see Nanny in Mrs. Washburn's kitchen on the day for beaten biscuits. Nanny beamed all out with gladness and made her come up to the breadboard so she could kiss her. Lord of mercy, honey, I sure is glad to see my child. Go on inside and let Miss Washburn know you's here. How is that husband of yours? Janie didn't go in where Mrs. Washburn was. She didn't say anything to match up with Nanny's gladness either. She just fell on a chair with her hips and sat there. Between the biscuits and her beaming pride, Nanny didn't notice for a minute. But after a while, she found the conversation getting lonesome, so she looked up at Janie. What's the matter, sugar? You ain't none too spry this morning. Oh, nothing much, I reckon. I come to get a little information from you. The old woman looked amazed, then gave a big clatter of laughter. Don't tell me you done got knocked up already. Let's see, this Saturday is 2 months and 2 weeks. No, I don't think so anyhow. Janie blushed a little. When you ain't got nothing to be ashamed of, honey, you's a married woman. You got your lawful husband, same as Miss Washburn, anybody else. I'm all right that way. I know there ain't nothing there. You and Logan been fussing. Lord, I know that grass cut done took and beat my baby already. I take a stick and salivate him. No, he ain't even talked about hitting me. He says he never mean to lay the weight of his hand on me in malice. He chops all the wood he think I wants, and then he totes it inside the kitchen for me. Keeps both water buckets full. Don't expect all that to keep up. He ain't kissing your mouth when he carry on over you like that. He kissing your foot, and tain't a man to kiss foot long. Mouth kisses on are equal, and that's natural. But when they got to bow down to love, they soon straightens up. Yes. Well, if you do all that, what you come in here with face long as my arm for? 'Cause you told me I must gonna love him, and I don't. Maybe if somebody was to tell me how, I could do it. You come here with your mouth full of foolishness on a busy day. Here you got a prop to lean on all your born days and big protection, and everybody got to tip their hat to you and call you Miss Killicks, and you come worrying me about love. But Nanny, I wants to want him sometimes. I don't want him to do all the wanting. If you don't want him, you show order. Here you is with the onlyest organ in town among colored folks in your parlor. Got a house bought and paid for, 60 acres of land right on the big road. And Lord have mercy, that's the very prong on us black women gets hung on, this love. That's just what's got us a-pulling and a-hauling and sweating and doing from can't see in the morning till can't see at night. That's how come the old folks say that being a fool don't kill nobody. It just makes you sweat. I bet you want some dressed up dude that got to look at the sole of his shoes every time he crosses the street to see whether he got enough leather there to make it across. You can buy and sell such as them with what you got. In fact, you can buy them and give them away. I ain't studying about none of them. At the same time, I ain't taking that old land to heart neither. I could throw 10 acres of it over the fence every day and never look back to see where it fell. I feel the same way about Mr. Skillix, too. Some folks never was meant to be loved, and he's one of them.
Uh-oh.
Well, how come? 'Cause I hate the way his hair is so long one way and so flat on his sides, and that pound of fat back his neck. He never made his own head. He talks so silly. I don't care who made it. I don't like the job.
Oh.
His belly is too big too now. And his toenails look like mule foots. And tain't nothing in the way of him washing his feet every evening before he comes to bed. Tain't nothing to hinder him, 'cause I places the water for him. I'd rather be shot with tacks than to turn over in the bed and stir up the air whilst he's in there.
His feet
He don't even never mention nothing pretty. She began to cry. I want things sweet with my marriage. Like when you sit on a pear tree and think. Tain't no use in you crying, Janie. Grandma had been along a few roads herself. But folks is meant to cry about something other than leave things the way they is. You's young yet. No telling what might happen before you die. Wait a while, baby. Your mind will change. Nanny sent Jenny along with a stern mien, where she dwindled all the rest of the day as she worked. And when she gained the privacy of her own little shack, she stayed on her knees so long, she forgot she was there herself. There is a basin in the mind where words float around on thought and thought on sound and sight. Then there is a depth of thought untouched by words, and deeper still, a gulf of formless feelings untouched by thought. Nanny entered this infinity of conscious pain again on her old knees. Towards morning she muttered, Lord, you know my heart. I've done the best I could do. The rest is left to you. She scuffled up from her knees and fell heavily across the bed. A month later, she was dead.
Nana died.
So Janie waited a bloom time, and a green time, and an orange time. But when the pollen again gilded the sun and sifted down on the world, she began to stand around the gate and expect things. What things? She didn't know exactly. Her breath was gusty and short. She knew things that nobody had ever told her. For instance, the words of the trees and the wind. She often spoke to falling seeds and said, I hope you fall on soft ground. Because she had heard seeds saying that to each other as they passed. She knew the world was a stallion rolling in the blue pasture of ether. She knew that God tore down the old world every evening and built a new one by sunup. It was wonderful to see it take form with the sun and emerge from the gray dust of its making. Familiar people and things had failed her, so she hung over the gate and looked up the road towards way off. She knew now that marriage did not make love. Janie's first dream was dead, so she became a woman.
Wait a minute. Charles was typing the whole time.
Not the whole time.
Oh. Charles was typing some of the time.
Yes.
Explanation?
Do I have an explanation more?
No, you don't have an explanation. There's no viable reason for you to be typing when we're listening to the book being read out loud, and we're supposed to be reading along with our eyes, so that our literacy develops. Alex? Santa Maria. And where's your book? So those last two lines here, though, listen to this. She knew now that marriage did not make love. Janie's first dream was dead.
That's underlined in my book.
So she became a woman. So she became a woman. Like, once you realize that, that's when you become a woman.
When
That marriage is not going to make love. Is that right? Is that true? You think that's true? Or is that just her scenario, her situation? I don't know. I think maybe there's something to just adulthood in general. Like, you know, when you guys read Romeo and Juliet about these two people, gaga, head over heels in love with each other. And maybe that's a little different than when people fall in love when they're older, and what love is like when you're in love with somebody and you're in a relationship for a while, and you know, you also go through the ups and downs, and that ideal maybe when you're younger, and that notion of this way overwhelming love, that kind of gets shattered at some point. I don't know when that is for me. Think about that for a while, but it's not like, what's that movie? Someone just mentioned it. Anastasia, is that the character? Like she's a cartoon, and then she gets brought into our world, and she's got like birds that fly around her when she's Enchanted. Oh yeah. But like, you know, that's like the ideal of like, oh, the birds are singing around, and that's Janie too. She's talking about the insects in the tree and all that, the pollen and all that stuff from that scene. But that ideal has been shattered for her, and well, maybe that is a part of growing up. Being a little bit, well, I don't know, tainted by the real world. Well, I would like you to talk about what happened in this chapter with each other, and maybe share something with the whole class. On your mark, Sai. Get set, Sai. Go, Sai, and everybody else. This chapter, what happened in it? With the people around you. You got Peter, Vladimir. Ooh, Vladimir's back. Good trip?
Yeah. Where'd you go?
Yes, watching videos of
The last part of it.
Oh yeah.
There's some part. I think there's one in chapter 2 that was also related.
Well, come up with something to say to the whole class. Relative to what happened in that chapter.
I got it.
Wait, what are we supposed to share? What we think about the chapter?
No.
Like follow the same pattern, it's just never grandma to.
Yeah, so I guess she finds out that marriage doesn't mean love. That's what I would say.
I'm stupid.
No, it's fine. We just missed yesterday. Not even counted.
Yeah, I didn't get the lesson.
So I don't even know what's going on right now.
You know what? We don't need it. I will just randomly pull somebody from the seating chart. My handy dandy random method. It's spectacular. Ready?
Oh, no.
Okay, it didn't work that time. But it usually works.
You can just leave it on the table.
Yeah, don't.
Close your eyes.
No, you have to spin it.
No, close your eyes, spin it.
Who's it on, Alexa?
I can't.
I can. It is?
No.
Ava? What did you guys talk about in the corner? Did you not talk in the corner?
We did.
I'm pretty sure Fatty would have talked about this.
Oh yeah, Fatty, what's yours then? I know you want.
Nothing? Wow, I'm gonna
Fatty
pull.
actually really has a good understanding of this entire chapter.
No.
You said marriage is
Why did you use the word actually again? That's insulting, as if you shouldn't.
Terribly.
Don't let him pull you down, Fatty. I'm gonna call on somebody else because this is taking too long. Who's it on? Harnor. Hello. So, anything to say about chapter 3?
Okay, so it seems like that Janie is like, probably next chapter she's gonna slowly turn into someone like her mother. That's what
Whoa. Sorry. She gonna do what?
It's like, it seems like this is gonna be the beginning of her like turning into her mother.
Oh. I hope not, but yeah, maybe, right? Again, what? So, Nana was, abuse, and so was her mother, Leafy. Leafy, though, became alcoholic and ran away and left Janie with her mom, with Nanny. And so we don't know what's become of her since then, right? But that she's on a bad path. And even Nanny sometimes wished that she could be at rest, like could die and just be at peace. After having been messed up like that. So we don't know. I hope not, but who knows, right? It seems to be going in a darker direction, though. This isn't the happy love that we would all hope for. This is no Disney movie. Dang it! I want my money back.
Well, you see, if the marriage was like kept together and stuff, this wouldn't be a book, would it?
No, it wouldn't. It wouldn't. Although I've read books where there's a marriage throughout, but there's conflict, of course, in some way, right? Yeah. And the other thing is about looks and appearance, that she doesn't find him attractive, and he's kind of gross. And he doesn't wash his feet. She's afraid to move the sheets at night because the smell of his feet will attack her. That's pretty bad. He won't wash his. She puts out water for him to wash his feet. He won't even wash his feet. So that's pretty gross. That reminds me of my step grandmother. She was gross. We were on a train ride, and she took her shoes off and put her feet on my sister's lap and told my sister to rub her feet. And my mom had to intervene.
That's crazy.
My mom was like, no. Yeah. People, old people. She was a little weird too, I guess. All right. Maybe we'll read the rest of this book and find out about love a little bit. You want to read some more? What time is it?
That whole fucking session really threw me out.
We have how much?
Like 5 minutes.
That's such a gray area as a teacher. 5 minutes. You can get a little bit into chapter 4, or we can sit here awkwardly for 4 minutes, looking at our phone, not acknowledging each other. I think we'll wait till. Who's getting a tattoo?
Siwa.
Who's Joe Siwa?
What? Yeah.
No.
Look at her Instagram.
Who?